Hello, 97 subscribers. Hello. I wasn't going to do a video talking about the Supreme Court recent rulings, which I find abhorrent, and um, but you know, I have some feelings about like the student loan thing. Um, Now, granted, I don't for that situation. I don't think that was the solution. Just throwing a little band-aid on the situation. What they really needed to do is actually fix the whole system altogether. Um, just throwing some money didn't fix anything. In fact, when that whole thing came up, I was like, wow, this is a drop in the bucket. This doesn't help. I've already been paying on my student loans for 13 years, and I actually owe more than I took out. I'm another person in that situation. Um, Probably if they don't forgive it at some point, I'll probably die with that debt. And that's, one of those things. I do find education important, and it was one of those situations where, yeah, I had an idea of I was signing on to, but it would be nice if we were able to compete with our European counterparts, where they don't have the medical bill situation and they don't have the education system. You to ask them, well, I've got cancer. That means that I'm going to go bankrupt as well. They're like, what? That doesn't make any sense. Well, no, that's the situation here in the States, which it's not right. I'd rather our tax money actually go towards social programs such as that instead of funding wars and all kinds of other things. Just makes sense because all that money, now that they're going to resume the student loans, all that money is going to get sucked out of the economy, uh, which might actually have might help inflation. I do see that as a possibility that you take that money out of there, prices might go down. But although not entirely, because a lot of the inflation is actually corporate greed. If you go look at their balance books, you'll find that a lot of them actually are very profitable. They aren't losing money. Um, but no, when it comes to the student loan stuff, we should have had free education a long time ago. Like after World War II, when they came, the GI Bill was a wonderful idea. That was world changing for a lot of folks. They should have continued on with that. In this day and age, when I know they still have the GI Bill, but that's what my big critique is. Like, you go to the military, you get your GI Bill. Some of those military guys still end up with student loans on top of their GI Bill. That's just not right. Now, I know that part of the reason why the universities and all that have gotten so expensive is because they've got unlimited money that's coming from the government with these loans that are backed by the government. Now, I don't agree that money and all that burden should have been placed on the people. This should have been subsidized by the government, and the government should actually have those universities, much like you have for K through 12. Why not just extend that whole education? Although, I guess that's all at the local level is your K through 12. So I don't see why they possibly couldn't do the similar thing with colleges. My goal, I always believe that you should have more education and not less. So I'm not anti-education. Go to school. The more educated populace, the better. But that goes also for trades too. Same thing goes. Like, more educated. I'm not just saying college. Any trade that needs more training and all that stuff. Yeah, heck yeah. We need more everything. It doesn't make sense to limit your populace to just some low wage service jobs or whatever. You want to have an educated populace. You don't want this albatross around people's necks of all this debt. You want them to go out and purchase goods. You want them to go, have homes. The American dream. Hey, get in the middle class. All I see is perpetual weakening of the middle class by not fixing the education system. And that's where we're at. I'm hopeful, but we'll see. I don't think he's going to fundamentally. Nothing will fundamentally change. Remember, and I fear that that's the case. And this is going to have reverberation effects for the election, because all your folks that are drowning in your student loan debt are going to see that, oh well, we didn't do the right course of trying to fix the situation. And that's going to cause a lot of people. I'm not going to say that a lot of people are going to go and vote for the other side. They're probably going to just stay home, and that's going to hurt. Which is going to be it's just totally different than the 2020 election, where you had a record-breaking voting. I'm wondering to see if it's going to be the reverse, and then a lot of people. We'll see. It is still a little too early. I know. I would have liked to have seen primary stuff. I would have liked to see the debates. Not that I'm actually, Marianne Williamson or RFK fan of either of them, but I'm not a fan of Biden either. So it's like, but I would have liked to have heard what they, I would have liked to heard what they said, and I'm hoping at some point somebody else might enter the Democrat race too. But I think maybe we're getting too late. That'd be cool. Why not? At this point, I probably will go west, as they've been doing it for the Greens. That's for the general. I know he's not going to win, but I am hoping that the Greens get their 5%. I'm in Ohio, which is a very, very red state. I'm not a battleground state, so honestly, whatever I voted was, wasn't really going to change anything. But I am hoping that they get their 5%, because 3 parties is better than just 2. I would love to see a third party, or even 4 parties. I wouldn't mind even if the Libertarians actually broke off from the Republicans and became a stronger party. I'm not really a Libertarian, but the more the merrier, really, when it comes to this stuff. Also, ranked choice voting would be wonderful. Yep, that way you don't have that lesser of two evils situation going on. Like, if you could have who you actually like when voting, you could actually have, okay, this is my number 1 choice. Oh, that person didn't make it. Okay, here's my number 2 choice, instead of it going to the default other guy. That would be really cool. I don't understand why we can't have ranked choice voting. That'd be nice if they did that. We'll see. But no, I wanted to talk about the student loan stuff a little bit. I kind of nihilistic about all of that, where, oh, I guess my generation's just screwed. Oh well. But I'm more hopeful for the future generations, that they don't have to lament their going to school and the repercussions of the economic pain. You should be excited to go to school and get your education. And yeah, I understand all of the debate about it. You need to be responsible. I get that. But then why does that mean a lifetime of indentured servitude? That doesn't seem fair. Yes, the prices need to go down for education, and that happens if there was more federal funding for even the state schools. Like, you can keep your private educations, they're being their own animal, but the state schools, their funding has been just decimated. There's less and less money in education, which is really unfortunate. Now, granted, I also, for that stuff, I do see, spending all that money on administration and wonderful new buildings and all that stuff to try to entice new students. That could be considered a waste. I don't know. It's a tough situation. It's a tough issue. I understand that it is, but I do see that it is actually hurting our country on the world stage, having generations just having to write off their futures. This whole thing could have been the same thing with the healthcare. If the FDR would have been able to have done the economic Bill of Rights back in the day, that would have been really cool. But those are things that are lost in history that didn't get quite done. Um, I guess education has always been difficult for people, but I don't think it was to this extent for previous generations. You as you hear all the comments like, oh, I used to be able to work part time and go through school and stuff. That's not possible. I actually worked full time and went through school and wasn't able to do that. So my wife too. So it's another one of those things that like the cost of living, all that stuff makes it that would be difficult to do. I don't know. I just wish they restructured it because I do see it as a huge weakness. That one and health. The two of them uh, are huge issues that just keep on getting that can keep get kicked down the road, and people who ends up suffering from that. The people do. We do. We end up having to uh, eat all that costs. That same thing with the pharmaceuticals. Uh, Bernie actually had a was grilling some pharmaceutical guys of, okay, so can we have you promise that we can have the American people pay the same as this country instead of paying, you know, 10 times as much or whatever, you know what I mean? And they're like, well, blah blah blah, bullshit answer, blah 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 blah. He's like, okay, so we take that as a no. You're not going to put them at the same price. Now I understand that those other countries actually step in and negotiate the companies for a lower price. I don't understand why we can't do that here. That doesn't make sense. It's all about the motivation and incentives when you have a lot of your politicians being paid off by that, and that's cheaper for the pharmaceutical guys if you can just pay off, give one politician several millions of dollars as opposed to all the population giving them a fair price for their drugs, right? What a deal. I guess corruption is kind of put into the budget. Is that how that works? I don't know, but I just wanted to pop on and say, like, I agree with some of the critiques that just doing that 10,000, 20,000, that wasn't anything. And even I was on that side, is like, this is a waste of money and time. You need to actually fix the structure. It wasn't enough money for a lot. Now, some people it would have actually been a game changer. I do appreciate that. But I hadn't heard anything about changing the actual system, and that's where the real problem is. I would have appreciated some movement, obviously, because right now you get the narrative that, oh, there's nothing that can be done. Back on the rat wheel, nothing can be done, and that's just ridiculous. That's not the case. So, all right, well, thank you for your time.